Hello, my name is Yu Dao. I am a monk here at SokukoJi. If you are inspired by these talks and these teachings, please consider joining us for our other forums, online or in person, and also consider helping us financially. We could use your support if you are able. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Video. I say no video.
No,
Okay.
we have not used it and we're thinking that it's extra at this
That's
point.
fine. So, this morning's Dharma talk is titled The Illusion of Choice. Choice is an illusion. There's through the understanding that you will gain, it's not actually a gaining, that you will uncover through the sitting practice of meditation will help you to see more deeply yourself, subjectively, what this is. I will do my best to help you look that direction. But you have to do it or not do it, however you want to see that or say that or understand it. We're so convinced that we make choices because there's so many little things we do. We can raise our arms, we can do this, we can say something, we can remember something, we can do all kinds of little things that completely reinforce the apparent reality of our world, even our societies, teachers and so on, with great intention, will say, we have to make the right choice. That's not particularly helpful advice unless you're just completely a materialist and you just want to get ahead, not fall behind and live your 70 years or 80 years or whatever you have by just being under the illusion of the other one, control. You don't have any control. I'm only laughing not because I'm happy that people suffer because of this. I'm laughing because you don't have to do this. You don't have to be at the mercy of doing something and failing, or being at the artificial reward of doing something and getting something, getting ahead. You can't get anything. If you think you can get something, perhaps you can. Perhaps what I'm looking at is not in line with what you're looking at yourself. Trust yourself. Trust the space in which things occur, not the thing. Trust the space in which things reshape themselves. Do something. Just trust the space, because nothing happens in the space. And your true nature, if I may say it this way, is space. But we get so seduced by, we're born, we first get seduced by given a name and told what to do, and don't do that, don't touch that. Go over here, sit down, hold still, don't scream. Manipulation of others in the world who think they can control little people, children. Can't do that. I'm not saying you wouldn't have some success by treating one child this way and see that that doesn't work on the other child, and then you look at another way that where you can get some kind of modicum, fancy word there, of control over them, and then you would call that success. As soon as you call anything, you will leave what it actually is for what you think it is, for what you would like it to be. As I said, I'm not laughing at the suffering and the difficulty that is caused by believing in this three-ring circus of relative truth. It's spread like all over the world. It's just it's all over the place. Sokuzan was mentioning something about an early teaching of Trungpa Rinpoche is like a big blue pancake. I always like that also. The sky, just a big blue pancake on top of us that we think is somehow something else. It isn't anything else. You are that. Again, don't believe it. I'm not trying to promote your belief in anything. That would be very disrespectful to what this fundamentally is. So there is an illusion that is created by our little tiny pieces of evidence, proof. Oh, I did this, so therefore I'm here. I can put my arm here, so I decided what I was going to wear. It's just on and on. It's just a whole blanket. It's like a patchwork quilt of accomplishments and successes and failures in our history. We remember what happened last week, what we said, what we didn't do. We should have taken that job. That would have been. Remember saying that? That would have been. As soon as you do that, you create the artifice that we call a past. There is no such thing. If you think there's a past, if you think there's a future, you're going to torture yourself and torture others. You may not know it, you may not be conscious of it. It's unreal. If I were to go back with a maybe a little bit more descriptive way, this may help you see, not believe what I'm saying, but see more clearly what it is I'm pointing at, that I'm looking at so clearly. I don't teach out of what this says. I can't remember what this says. I read it many times. Couldn't even tell you what its title is. Those things have just cracked and faded away. Just to even talk about the big blue pancake, I couldn't have done without someone mentioning it yesterday. And what is being addressed here by this teaching person is there's not two things anywhere. Simple math. Do the math. There are other times when I say don't do the math. In this case, do the math. And you'll see you can't actually find another thing. You can't even find the primary situation, which is one thing. You cannot find that. If you find that, you're looking at a concept. Is that wrong? No, it's not about not doing this or doing that or start doing that or stop doing it. It's about being aware of whatever you do, because your particular karma, each person has very, very unique causes and conditions in the illusion. How your mother treated you, what happened to you when you were 14, positive, negative, neutral, all over the place. It's just covered with a big blue pancake. It's amazing to know, to actually know yourself, no proof. You don't need any proof. It's actually amazing to know when you suddenly discover that all the stuff you've been fighting with and trying to get rid of and trying to cover up or trying to blame is unreal. This is why Zongsar, Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche, wrote a book called Poison is Medicine. Is this, if you take actual medicine here, what's that, arsenic? If you take the arsenic, is that it? Arsenic? Say that. Arsenic. Take the arsenic. Then you're going to die. The physical form, which is unreal, also will die. You have an imaginary death, because nothing dies. Well, something dies, but that which is real cannot die, because it does not come into existence. This is temporary. You come up and show up as a person, you're all full of yourself, pride, think you're going to get somewhere, think you're better than some people. You're not going to let them know it, because you just want to help them with their poor handicaps. You do that for many, many decades. What the discovery is that whatever arises in your mind stream, I don't care how stinky, how smelly, how difficult it is, just receive that. Poison is medicine. To receive the negativity from out here in the world, and to receive the negativity that is arising in the so-called within, that seems to be triggered by that, those are not two different things. Nor are they the same. You can do this. You can just stop. No more war. No more fighting with anything. No more desire for something else. But you have to first, as a practice, ground, path, and fruition. The ground is suffering. The path is awareness. And the fruition is nothing happens. Nothing has happened. There never was a single thing anywhere. And yet you're still sitting here at the kitchen table complaining about the food. Or maybe appreciating the food. Not to. You have to see it. If you don't, you'll keep trying to live up to some kind of a standard. You'll project that standard onto your partner. You'll project it onto your dog. You'll project it onto a tree. You'll project it onto a teacher. You'll project your ideas about how things should be onto others. And also onto yourself. Be upset with yourself because you don't meditate enough. I would agree with that. You don't meditate enough. And it's not about shutting that down and getting rid of that. It's about just observing, just be aware of that. If you're really aware, you'll see that everything is completely choiceless. You don't make choices. These little ones, move this to do this, do that. If you're really a good experiment you can do, if you really think that there are choices, then just choose not to feel bad. And good luck with that. Because sometimes with no reason, although it's very painful, existentially challenging to have a bad feeling and not have a reason. We are hooked on cause and effect. We're trapped by it. We're addicted. We're addicted to this cause that. That's not true. That's just blatantly false. But you will have to see it. And how do you see it? Not with this. This goes in circles. This does not go in circles. And I'm not talking about the physical organ here, the heart pumping or the blood pumping mechanism. I'm saying just consciousness seems to be somewhere in this area. And it doesn't have to be here. Consciousness is leaving your physical form, coming and going all the time. And sometimes it doesn't even come back because it's found that its true nature is everywhere. This is a unreal. You don't make a choice. If you wanted to continue to use that, you could say that choices make you, the choices you make create an illusion of a self that's failed. I couldn't quite pull that off. I tried to do that. It didn't work. I just have to make better choices so that I can have more success. Well, there's nothing wrong. We're not saying that that's a horrible thing. It's just that it leads to intense difficulty, suffering, frustration, disappointment, and delusion for yourself and people around you. And if you're in a position of power, then you extend that off onto others, as we see on all the news all the time. And there's nobody to blame for this. If you're in that area of blaming, then of course there are a lot of targets everywhere. And some people like this target, some people like that. Some people get together and be against that target, or get together and get cult. This is a cult. There's nothing to join here. Buddhism is a path of liberation, and there's no one to join. You can be with a group of people who are all trying to see what the Buddha was pointing at, sometimes called Sangha. And you can also do it by yourself. Or you cannot do it at all. You can go do something else. Do your laundry. It doesn't matter what happens. But that doesn't mean you should take your eye off anything and be dismissive of it. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't mean that. I'm saying you look right at it, you see it, smell it, taste it, touch it, think it, remember it. It does not matter what occurs. But you receive everything. Receive everything, no matter how, if even it looks like something you did or did wrong or said wrong, receive it. Have a sense of humor about it. You could, instead of going, I'm never going to get this right. I'm not saying you would look like I'm looking, because I'm really miserable looking right now. But part of that is just being really old. If I were young, like 62, and I guess that it would be more because there's more energy there. Whereas when you're 85, well, pretty soon, shortly, quickly, no matter what you do, you look kind of weak. I'm not looking for a compliment. Oh no, Sokuzan, you look wonderful. There is no Sokuzan. And whatever your name is, look in the mirror, say your name and say, there is no Mary or Joe or Fred. There is not there. I'm not trying to change your mind and convince you. I'm saying you might start somewhere. Look in the mirror and see that what you're recognizing is an illusion. Any name or any idea or any conception or any conclusion, anything you have, even I'm getting in the car now. I'm opening the gate. Not real. Realistic, but fundamentally not real. You can do this. You could actually do this. It won't be an accomplishment. It feels like kind of the other way. It feels more like a failure of something, like you're failing, because the illusion is wearing out. I'll take some questions if there are some.
Chandra bowing. Are you saying that what looks like a choice is actually not a choice?
Yes,
Are you saying then that what looks like a choice is faded?
say more.
So if something is showing up and it looks like I'm choosing to go this direction or away from another direction, it is not a choice. It's actually dependently arisen. How is that different than that being my fate or that, yeah.
It's different because even the fate part of it, or the timing, like this is happening, oh, now that's happening. That's an illusion. The entire situation is the sound of these vocal cords, this voice, the words I'm saying are not real.
Conjure bowing. So then what is the problem in believing the illusion? Is that the problem?
If you believe your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, if you think you're having an emotion, you think you're having a thought, then the attribution of it's my thought or it's my feeling, that separates one into the primary mistaken identity, which just think there's somebody because there's a body form here. Look closely at this. This is not real. This is an illusion. Look at the back of your hand for a couple of days. Look at the back of your hand and say, what is that? And whatever shows up, say, what is that? Or something else, some other name show, what is that? That's a way of doing it with your conceptual mind. But without actually sitting down and just receiving whatever shows up in the mind, then this kind of pushing the entry into ultimate reality will still go in a circle. We'll need a little bit of both. More?
Conjure bowing. So then you're saying whatever shows up is an illusion.
Yes.
Why single out choice as one of the illusions?
It looks like that is the one that reinforces the believability of it. If I'm told, well, you're not really making choices. You can't really make choices. Because then I would, in defense of that, I would say, yes, I do. I choose all the time. I make good choices. Sometimes I make bad choices, but I try to make amends right away. And I try to, and if it's been to someone else, I apologize. It's not about what you do, it's what you're aware of, because it's just like something breaks apart. It's just like the consciousness breaks apart from the illusion. It doesn't do that because nothing happens. But it's like that when the illusion doesn't have the support of consciousness, it just comes apart. All the people you thought were out there and the person you thought was in here is not real. That doesn't mean you run away from it. That doesn't mean you disregard it. You can just say or do whatever you want. You probably will do a lot less. More.
Milka bowing. When it looks like we've been helped by something that happened. For instance, we lose our keys and we're all distraught, but then we hear about an accident on the highway we might have been in, and we avoided, somehow that was avoided. Is there, it looks like there's no choice in that, but it does look like there's a past and a future when I come to that kind of conclusion that
I agree with you. It looks like that.
so what sets up more suffering when it looks like we've avoided some kind of suffering?
It's the grasping, which is, it goes up, the word for that would be belief. That you're not really reaching out and grabbing something like a monkey after a banana. But there's even the word acceptance is a kind of grasping. So it's fine what you're saying. That's Trungpa Rinpoche would call that, and other teachers would call that auspicious coincidence. This happened, that happened, you didn't do this, or you met someone that you really needed to meet. It just seemed like, how did that happen? Auspicious. It was auspicious because it showed up that way.
You know, Kabbaling, when we see something like that happen, is there any reason we need to remember that or remind ourselves of some kind of situation like that to avoid suffering? Or does it, what does that help us avoid suffering?
No,
What does?
seeing what it is. See what it is. And that's where the idea and the teaching comes. If you see something as painful or difficult, it's causing suffering for you, receive it rather than medicate or distribute yourself elsewhere, avoid or attack it. Just receive, just receive. It's an incredible gift, this world. Precious human birth, free. You're free to be here. It's in time, so it's temporary in the illusion, because the illusion can flip over and go another direction. It's an illusion, so nothing lasts, nothing is substantial, even though people endeavor, just like the Constitution. But the 250 years is up, so now it's time for that cycle to flip and go another way, possibly. Just look at, just observe it. Start observing here, so that the observer is out, can receive out here until there's nothing observed and there's no receiver. There's no observer, nothing is observed. Nothing happens.
Bowing. If we choose to receive, does this take us away from what we need to be looking at?
What did I say?
You usually word it just receive rather than choose to receive. Is there a difference?
Yeah, I think that the choosing part, you're getting a little bit of a credential there. But you have to go, you're going to, as a meditator, someone training their mind, you're going to have to go through a little bit of that artificiality, which tends to ramp up as someone who's getting somewhere, someone who's a good meditator, someone who had a really good meditation. If someone says to me, I had a really good meditation, I may say, depends on who it is. Depends. I might say, that's too bad. Not a good meditation. Hiding out from yourself. Oh, you avoided the poison. Poison, drink it, take it. Not arsenic, not poisonous food, or don't do that, but the negativity that arises in your mind stream, just receive it. Be very kind and loving and delicate and caring about anything that shows up, because everything that shows up, every thought, every emotion that shows up is just consciousness only. But you won't see that as long as you think there's a thing that's wrong and a thing that's right, and a feeling it shouldn't be there. And the path is to just observe that. You may have to be pretty embarrassed for several years about how crazy you are. How you can't stop feeling this or can't stop feeling that. The ego will look for any kind of a positionality to be right and not be wrong. Further questions? Yes.
Shui Wu bowing. is intention a choice, or is that dependently arisen?
So everything is dependent arisen, including intention. But to train to see more clearly what we fundamentally are, what this whole thing fundamentally is, there's going to be some kind of forward movement. And of all the forward movements, that's one of them that doesn't have an outcome. It's just you intend to see the truth. There are a lot of things that will come up as substitutes. So you might have to do it for a long time. So there could be there's some kind of a choice happening there, but it's no different than doing this. Very simple would go in, don't do that, go over there. Don't go for a walk, sit and look at the wall. And you sit, you work with that yourself. Your own practice is yours. It might not be all that helpful to live up to some kind of a standard that everybody needs to sit and everybody needs to be in retreat. Oh, it's up to you to decide how to do that. You can do that. You have to receive it. You won't know. If you're really making a choice, you'll know it. You'll be making a choice. But if things just are rising spontaneously and you happen to find you're on the last train to Yuma, you didn't make that choice. And it's quite exhilarating to know that you're actually riding on dependent origination as it shows up in the various forms that are illusory. You can actually do this. You can actually live in this illusion without fighting with anyone, without agreeing with anyone, without dismissing anyone or ignoring anyone. And therefore, you might find yourself fundamentally helping somebody out of consciousness, not out of some kind of credential you need to be a helper or to be an enlightened being. For this gentleman, I refer to myself with respect. If I care what you think, I can't teach because what I'm saying is outrageous. I can't point at what I'm looking at because it's outrageous. But I'm not concerned with what you think because it's unreal. Anything I think is unreal, anything you think is unreal, it's relatively there. It's a relative thought stream or emotion or memory, but it's fundamentally not there.
Thank you.
Jose.
Was they bowing? Sometimes it appears that the cover up is choiceless, at least for some time. Thinking like my situation, I have to do something with the mind stream that's outside of like Buddhism.
Yes,
Is there a way to still be receiving that even though I'm having to cover up?
we're doing it now. We're doing it now. It just matter what happens. And that's a hard one because what if something bad happens? What if you've been practicing for many, many years, which I'm sure those of you who have been practicing, especially 30 or 40 years is a long time. And if you notice you're just still as crazy as you ever were, what's up? Wrong meditation, bad teacher, bad. No, it's just dependently arisen. That's the teaching for you. That is the medicine. Please. When I say please, I'm just using the conventional cultural way of saying, please look at it. You don't owe me anything. There isn't anybody. Not only there's nobody here, there's nobody there. You have to see it. If you see it, you can live right in this illusion. You can probably dance, even if you feel like crap. Yes.
Very long bowing. Is there anything beyond tasting the poison to actually ingest it, like to actually take the poison?
So if you get too sharp an image there, then it becomes then it can become credential oriented. You're trying to prove that you're doing it. If you're really receiving everything here, then when the poison arises, it just the most you might do is the image I sometimes use is open wide. Here comes your life, open wide. Don't miss your life, open wide. Open your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, your mind, open. But you can't do that. You can't open because that's credential. Ego will be the one who opens, the one who's really been open. You ever had anybody tell you as you're talking to them, well, I'm really, really open. Oh, okay, you haven't. maybe next week. So whatever arises, that's it. Positive, negative, or neutral. So that intention, the attitude is just receive. And that way, whatever happens with you, or whatever happens with Yunkai or Shui Wu, then it's a completely different. It's different. It just doesn't happen the same way with each person. More.
For long bowing, is there even the slightest layer of suffering that's extra that we don't have to do?
All suffering is extra. Might take a while for you to see it because it looks like cause and effect. Looks like somebody caused it, you caused it, somebody else is causing it. You got to stop it. You got to pay back. You got to. But when you see what it is, it's just an illusion. There never was any suffering. Never was any pleasure. Illusion. You can see this. And there won't be anyone seeing it. And there won't be anything that you see. That's why it's called ultimate truth. It has no platform, has no disturbance. It has no quality, has no. Via negativity. Neti is the ancient Indian teaching out of the Upanishads. Go ahead.
Or long bowing, what does it mean to be able to wear pleasure and pain, and for that to be
To feel both of them and not differentiate. To not push one away and go after the other. Just receive it. If you have nerve endings, this is going to be difficult. And all the forms of skin, taste. You ever tasted really bad food? I rest my case. So it's the same thing with all the senses. You have a really bad feeling in your hands, a really bad feeling in your consciousness. Just receive it. There's no cause, no effect, unless you give it that kind of cause and effect. It's just consciousness doing its what? Doing its thing in your mind. And you are free and well favored. So you're free to be here and you're well favored because you've heard this teaching and you're going to receive it. You're going to receive your life. You don't have to receive precepts, be a monk, live in a monastery. You never have to talk to me again. If you understand what I'm saying, we're done. We're done here. I would not push you away. If you want to hang around and bring me some coffee, I'd appreciate it. Or, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit silly, but I'm saying it doesn't matter what you do. You'll know if you actually stop somehow by watching the grasping, if you just stop grasping at itself. Just stop grasping. And it doesn't matter if it does what it's doing there. It hangs on. It's unreal. You stop, but it's still there. See that? You thought it was going to fall. It won't go away if you stop grasping it. What does it do? Keeps its elbows and its finger points, and you just watch that. You actually observe your crazy mind go crazy. Crazy wisdom form of the Buddhas of the three times. This has been taught way before any of us even showed up here. Here it is again, showing up in this old man. I have no credential, have no proof, have no evidence. Go ahead.
Natsumi bowing. It looks like we can direct our awareness towards the intention or to various things. Is that not choice?
Well, it certainly seems like it. It's fundamentally not real, but it's just part of the causes, pushing and pulling, and the whole idea that things, as long as you think things are separate from consciousness, or they're things that are out here in time and space, those two kinds of illusion, the spaciousness and the time, this happened, then that started, then this did happen, but that's going to happen again. As long as your mind is thinking like that, then it will look like causation. And it's just about observing that. You do not have to clean up your act. There is no act. There's no cleanup. You have to see it. Yes.
Natsumi bowing. I think earlier you were talking about how consciousness is somewhere near the heart space, but that it could seemingly move around. I'm wondering about what's happening when I'm doing something with my body, like, eating, and then, talking to somebody else where the eating just seems to be going on and moving, but I'm not, like, my awareness isn't on that. Is that what you're referring to when you're saying that the consciousness moves around?
It's a little bit like that. There seems to be a focus part that we call awareness. Sit down, hold still, look at the wall, which you just came out of a 10-day solitary retreat, so you've done quite a bit of that. Sit down, hold still, look at the wall. What happened there? Much? Did anything happen?
I don't know.
Oh, I like that answer. Oh, no. But you did, well, what the motivation to do that is just, you can't find it. I mean, you can manufacture a few things. Well, I do that because I feel better. I do that because I'm more clear. I do that because I'm more clear about my confusion. You do all kinds of things like that, generate ideas around it that make it look substantial, so our friends don't think we're just wasting our time in retreat. Did I avoid your question?
Not Sumi bowing.
Yes.
So what I'm
Take your time.
what is happening when the body is continuing and the awareness is somewhere else? What is happening in the body?
It's consciousness doesn't have any location. Awareness can temporarily, in the illusion, have the aware of that ikebana, and so everyone else kind of disappears in the consciousness, goes back. Just like if you're aware of your elbow, you can put your awareness right there. Awareness is wonderful, very responsive to being directed in that way, or moving your awareness from this to that, like to a wall, or to when thoughts arise and your awareness goes to observing the thoughts. And sometimes the awareness is, if there's fear, then the awareness can actually generate more thoughts about the thoughts. And then if those don't work, then we generate thoughts about the thoughts about the thoughts, thinking about. Almost sounds like a rap song. Thinking about. So the idea is that it gets compounded by our fear, it gets compounded by our hope. So this is why do nothing with it. Don't do anything unless you have to. And if you have to do it, then do it completely and thoroughly. Just like what coming back to what it looks like it looks like your inquiry is about, is a consciousness. Did you eat breakfast this morning?
Yes.
So your food is being digested right now without your permission, without your intervention, without your agreement. It's just happening to you, just like you don't tell your fingernails to grow. So I'm a little bit simplistic of what I'm saying, but it's like that. There's no way to find a definite thing you can point to, because we're in the middle of an illusion. And so anytime you point to anything, you ignore everything else. Then everything else is ignored. Look at this, everything else is ignored. And to become aware of the ignorance is what is important on the path. It's important to be aware of the ignorance. And the way you become aware of that is by intending and watch what moves. Because eventually you will see. When I say eventually, I mean, I'm using the illusion of time to talk about it, because everything I say is a lie. Because anytime I leave what I'm seeing for some kind of conceptual or idea about it, then I'm just doing my best to use concepts, which are untrue, to point to something. The old saying in Japanese Zen tradition is a finger pointing at the moon. Further question about consciousness or the nature of it?
Not Sumi bowing. Is there some analogy between when you say that we have no choice, that choice is an illusion, that it seems kind of ridiculous to say that I am choosing to digest my breakfast, and that seems kind of ridiculous to say, but is that kind of like what you're pointing to, that choice is an illusion?
It does trap us. It traps us into, we want to join with that so that we can have a modicum of control in that area, if that's what you're saying. So we might choose to extend our sense of choice into some aspect of consciousness that's just happening. So I'm not saying you couldn't do that, but it's circular. It will kind of give the illusion of working for a while, and then it would just come apart because it's just unreal. It's an illusion. Just like the example, to get maybe closer to choicelessness. So you might be choosing to pick up this stick and put it somewhere. I might be choosing, and I might be something I didn't even think about this. And so just right now, so there's no past and future. I just decided to touch this leaf. I just made a choice. How about that? I chose to do this. I'm in control of my life. No, you're not. Well, then who is? Who does control this? There is no control. Nothing is controlled by anything. You give you an example. This may work. I've done this a little bit before. Is look at the hand that reached up here. I didn't make this. I didn't decide. Well, consciousness cannot make a human form out of some kind of self-centeredness or personhood. You might be able to build a skyscraper. You might be able to learn how to play baseball. You might learn all kinds of things in the illusion to do this or do that. But even that is based on your ability that you were so-called born with, in how you came into the illusion as a human form. You can't just build a skyscraper if you're born in the ghetto and your parents are addicted to crack. Unlikely you're going to build a skyscraper. But if you do, then everybody raves about it. Look what they did. There's a terrible past. And look, anybody can be president. Well, I guess anybody can be the way it looks. So it's so important, no matter how silly I seem up here or how whatever it makes it doesn't matter how I look. Doesn't matter. What does matter? What really, really matters? That's why they have this 2,500-year-old practice. Save all beings, put others before yourself. It's an illusion. There aren't any others, but they don't know that. And they function as if life means something. They should start this and start that and make sure their children get good schooling. And maybe they should in the illusion. But put others before yourself. You might find you're doing a lot less because the opportunity to fundamentally help anybody really shrinks down into just probably the only thing you can do is listen to them. This is an opportunity I have to sit up here and say what I am looking at with the idea that maybe you'll get a little glimmer of what you should do. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't look for results. I don't need to be successful at anything. I can see where you might say, well, it's a good thing you aren't concerned about that because you've been quite a failure so far. Any further questions? I bet you have a question.
Questions from YouTube.
Well, let me guess who it is. That's not working. Go ahead.
I thought you were going to guess. Ath in the UK.
F? That's what I was going to say.
If nothing happens, why do things like anxiety seem to fluctuate or be non-linear rather than being incremental or consistent?
So it is because of the way things show up in the physical world. If you made this ikebana, and I'm going to use you, and I can't see Ath, but you made this, and this is unlikely to change. It's consistent, it's stable. But the mind stream is not stable. And depending on the causes and conditions that arose as in your particular life, in your personhood, and in all the causes and conditions that arose as how you were trained, how you were maybe supported and loved, or how you weren't treated so well, and what happened in other situations we referred to as other lifetimes, which I don't believe in other lifetimes. It's just consciousness. It just shows up as other lifetimes. There's no such thing. So this has some stability in the illusion, just like a rock or the carpeting is still here. Incense smoke is going across the room is an example of something that has less of a time increment. It's closer to what the feeling and emotion is like of the anxiety. It's more like smoke. Just watch it. It can't last. The downside of anxiety is you can't find it. You feel bad. This is not good. I can't find the cause. I just feel really anxious. I have to stay away from people. I have to stay in the closet or stay in my room or just sit somewhere and be quiet. Not even meditate. I just can't even do that anymore. Anxious, anxiety, receive it. But don't overdose on it. Don't look at it for an accomplishment of how you finally received your anxiety. And that anxiety is more like incense smoke. It has the downside has it's there. But the upside of that is it does not last. It goes away. But it persists if you grasp it, reject it, or shut down. If you passion, aggression, and ignorance, if you do anything with it, and it will continue to return. Just eat it. Poison is medicine. I'm not sure if I got close to what Anthony's looking for, but I said exactly what I want to say.
Sokuzan has another question. Which one is more illusory? A choiceless awareness or choice-based awareness? And why are they equally illusory?
Yes. You want to know why? Because. So they're both conceptual or constructs about something. If I talk about the Kabbalah, concept. If I talk about the incense smoke, concept. You can't actually talk about anything. Consciousness is not separate from anything. And it only separates long enough to digest your food or to cause you to have arthritis or to have a really brilliant idea about an invention or a new way of working with your partner that might be more supportive of them and less causing them less difficulty.
Kabbalah question from Ross in Ireland. Ross bowing. What is the danger of going back into the elements without seeing what this is fundamentally?
No danger. Go ahead. You're safe. There's no danger. Nothing. There's fundamentally nothing is threatened. There's no danger at all. But if you go back if you die and go back into the elements, then that aspect of consciousness will be back. When I say aspect, it's not a person. It's the illusion. It's a trap that just through being embodied, consciousness tends to get trapped here because of causes and conditions that are showing up as the apparent or implied personhood that can win or lose. It's quite amazing. It's even totally magical. How can this be? Well, it can't be. It isn't. But the appearance, it's so convincing, like a magic show, like a bubble. It's there, solid, it's there, it's something gone. Back into the elements.
Kabbalah, a question from JB in Pennsylvania.
Okay, JB.
How does karma that is not created by one's own past continuity, but originates from an indeterminate condition, create the illusion of choice without there actually being choicefulness?
JB, you're a rascal. So I would say, I could respond to that with the same kind of rhetoric. I could kind of go in there and sort it out and come up with things. But the very best thing is, I heard what you said, but I'm saying simplify that. Let me know what it is you want to know, because otherwise I just have to get on that merry-go-round with you.
Kabbalah, the next question he asks is to me a little bit simpler. He says and this is JB in Pennsylvania, says all choices need a problem to solve. Does that mean choosing is always tainted by the suffering that drives it?
So what was the last part? So,
the suffering that drives it?
a possibility. I mean, that'd be a way of, you could use concepts to stretch it out so you can look at something and it's more convincing that you have a handle on the whole thing. You do not have a handle on anything. And the sooner you realize that, you've heard me use that's a time-based concept, the sooner you realize that. Yes, there's a period there.
Bowing. One more from Karen. Karen Weber. Karen Bowing. I struggle with this while I enjoy them. Dharma talks cause confusion. Or as you said, fundamentally words lie and contradicts themselves. Thank you. I guess you didn't have a question, just a statement.
So I understand what she's saying, and everybody's level of frustration, anxiety, or whatever difficulty is different, shows up differently. And I don't. The only blanket statement I can say to anybody that I think is probably going to be helpful to you is find time to sit still. Because anytime the body is moving slightly, body, mind are not two different things. So you don't have to call it meditation. You could call it rutabaga. But hold still, sit symmetrical, sit in a chair. You don't have to sit on a cushion and be all monk-like. You just hold still. Watch the movement, eyes open, and watch what comes and goes so that you can get closer to the anxiety, the difficulty you're describing, and this is another fancy word that's very relative, be responsible. The ability to respond directly to anything that arises in the mind stream or in your world out here, just to respond by what? Just see it, not react. I never use the word react. Well, 3 years ago I did, and I stopped. It's interesting to say something kind of dumb like that and look around and see who's smiling, who's frowning. That's that's non-dual. Those are not two different things, frowns and smiles. Just two different directions. Anything further? Anyone on, you have a question?
Chandra bowing, just along those same lines, you're basically saying that to look at the believability of the illusion. And you're calling out choices as an example of the believability of the illusion.
Yes.
You're also saying to look at the wall, but here in a Dharma talk, you're really, bringing it up. Is that just a challenge for, just kind of like a way to open up our consciousness in a Dharma talk by saying, look at how you believe this illusion?
Is that a question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, just look at the attachment. It's like I was using the kotsu there. You can let go or you can get rid of the ego, but it's still going to be there. But that's when, if you actually see it, you see that you're hanging on to it. And then slowly it comes apart. You stop hanging on it, but it doesn't go away. So you get no result out of it. That result is the result. That's seeing. It says this in the Diamond Sutra. In different words, but actually seeing that there isn't anything, that's seeing.
Kind of bowing, but in the Dharma talk, are you stretching our awareness? Are you
I don't know. Take a vote.
in bringing up something that is such a difficult thing to see?
It is.
That this reality, as an example, the idea of a choice. It looks like we're making a choice. We are making a choice, but we're making a choice in the illusion.
We are. And the person that's here, you had no choice, although it's been taught different ways, but my understanding or my way of seeing it is that you didn't decide before you were born that you were going to be born, although there's different teaching in that area, which I don't necessarily, I'm not going to do away with it, but it doesn't look that way to me. It looks like that the whole personhood comes apart, and then consciousness comes back, and then this shows up, people show up with different ethnicity and different gender orientation, different, all kinds of intelligence level, so many things. And you don't choose any of that. There's no person choosing it. Is there a choice being made? There's some differentiation going on. Otherwise, every tree would be an oak tree, or every human would be the same. It would be like lemmings or ants. Nothing against lemmings or ants, but they all seem to do something together. Just like, what are the birds, is it starlings that all fly together like that? They just all, it's like they have some kind of connection. If you look really close, there's a really thin wire between all of them. It's called consciousness. Nothing actually occurs. It just looks like it.
Dr. Rabbi, I want to pursue this one more time in that
Did
When
I
we're-
lose you?
when we're walking away from the idea that all of this is an illusion.
I said walk away.
No, when we walk away from this Dharma talk, after being challenged,
You can't ever leave this conversation.
oh no.
Condemned forever. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. My sincere apology. Go ahead.
And we're more confused or
Yes,
more challenged.
like
or
Karen, was it Karen said
Yes.
something like that?
Uh-huh.
It's confusing to her. The downside of confusion, if I may interrupt you, is confusion. But if you're on the path, if your intention is to see what is true, you're going to have to go through a lot of negativity. You can't just set the negativity aside because, well, I'm making a choice to not do that. You can't, you need to, it's choiceless. You need to receive that. That's what I'm encouraging you to do. I would not be sitting here if I hadn't waded through some deep stuff. And I mean, not, and it never stops. It's still there. It's just not real. More? Anyone on Zoom have a question? Deb?
Deb Bowing, a little bit in relationship to Kondroma's question. Showing up over the past number of years, there used to be a lot of confusion for me during the Dharma talks. To the point of frustration at times. Today was one of those days where I wrote things ferociously, and I feel like I see what you're talking about. And so it feels like that could be a conclusion. My question is there a difference in my seeing in the Dharma talks, my writing and taking all this in, and then taking it to the cushion? Is there a difference between what I'm doing right here? You might have already answered it, but taking this all in and feeling that something's aligning, and then going to the cushion and just sitting and facing the wall, bowing.
Well, there are obvious differences in things, but it's not an issue, not a problem at all. Sounds good to me. Sounds like you're receiving. You might understand some things, and other things you may not be too clear on, but you're working on that. And each person does this differently. Some people take notes. I don't think there's anyone here taking notes. I think Yunkai was taking some notes, but some people take notes. There's no requirement to take notes or not take notes. That would be up to you to do that. So yes, and then go to the cushion and sit down and just receive. To receive the teaching, you do not have to understand what I'm saying. You don't, there will be no test. I would not put anybody, this is not a college course. So therefore, there's no test. I'm not interested in you remembering anything or how you receive it. Does not matter how. If it matters, then I can't do this. Then I'm going to have to test you and get results from you and see if you're understanding what I'm saying. Ho hum. Not interested. What am I interested in? I'm interested in speaking out of what I'm looking at in such a way that if there's some resonance with you in what I'm saying, there's a possibility you may be able to look at how closed you are, and enough so that which is closed, you see it's unreal and it just breaks apart. Just like that kotsu that's hung onto my hand. I tried to drop it. Wouldn't let go. Just like I tried to get rid of my ego. Wouldn't let go. What you're listening to is my ego. I'm extremely self-centered, narcissistic. I don't have words on beyond that. I'm just saying, I'm not concerned about that. I'm not concerned about getting rid of those things anymore. After a long time working on that. Yes, sir.
While bowing, is there some quality of, like with the kotsu, that our grasping wasn't holding it there in the first place? No.
Yes.
While bowing. following. So is the grasping just that extra suffering I was asking about? The
Yes.
pain?
If you don't grasp, then the suffering won't hurt. Because you see it's unreal. Inside joke. Is it inside or outside? Outside joke? Inside. Were you stretching your hand, Robert, or were you going to ask me a question?
Both.
Oh. Go ahead.
Robert Bowing. Couple words keep showing up for me when you're talking about choicelessness, suchness, and choicelessness. What is the witness quality between choiceness and suchlessness?
So let's do it this way. I might get close to what you're inquiring about, and I might be miles away, but those two are two words describing the same thing. Suchness has more of a state of suchness, and choiceless has more as working with the relative area of things showing up that you don't really make choices about. Whereas suchness is just an incredibly powerful presence that there isn't anything else. And there's nothing else in space. There's no space. Then there's nothing else in time. There is no time. Those are concepts about something that we try to get a hold of. So what was the other part of the question?
The witness quality between those.
The witness, excuse me, to use the common structure, it's a ground, path, and fruition. The path of awareness is ground is difficulty, frustration, suffering, and so on. The path is be aware, be aware, be aware of it, be aware of that rather than trying to do anything with it. Just be aware of it. And that being aware has a lot of witnessing happening there. But then, whether the fruition, there isn't anything. There's no witness. In order for there to be a witness, there has to be a person. So when you're on the path, there's going to be a person who is over time is witnessing, receiving, and getting. You could even say making some progress, to use the relative word, in being able to just receive things. You'll notice that if you're really receiving, you won't leave receiving for a credential about how good of a receiver you are. No notes are taken in that area about that.
Robert Bowing. What can we be? What is the awareness quality between suchness and primordial non-existent mind?
Suchness shows up in the living being as there's nothing here, there's nothing there. It just looks like it. There's no time, there's no space. It just looks like it. Just like a similar, and I'm going to get to the other part of your question, but the similar way to look at that is if you look at a movie screen or a video or something, it's there, it's realistic, it's happening. There's music, there's the director, and there's all the actors. It's very convincing, and what happens in the movie is very convincing. So it's there. The illusion is very convincing. Same thing happening here. We're just looking at an illusion. What was the other part?
The witness quality of or the awareness of our primordial non-existent aspect of our
No,
mind.
that's right. Primordial non-existent. Uh-oh. Give me a minute. Same thing. Two words. Suchness or consciousness or primordial non-existence. So it's been taught this way that what the actual fundamental ultimate situation is even beyond primordial existence, even beyond suchness, even beyond consciousness. Is the great Hindu teacher, Advaita teacher, can't remember his lineage. Nisargadatta Maharaj says it's prior to consciousness. But first, you have to realize this is consciousness, and then there's the possibility to use the relative statement that there's a prior to consciousness.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Is there another question on Zoom? Go ahead, Deb.
Thank you. Deb Bowing, a little bit of a follow-up. Can the thought that I'm understanding this teaching today be a conclusion And when I go to the cushion, can that illusion be seen through easier, bowing?
Well, there's no guarantee and there's no promises, but it's possible. And the other thing is you don't have to be concerned about concluding. Just be aware that you're concluding. We're not trying to stop anybody from concluding. I'm not. I don't care what you do. No, you can do whatever you want to do. But I'm encouraging you, be aware of it, because sometimes what you're going to be doing is going to be very outlandish compared to what somebody else is just kind of sitting around waiting for the biscuits to get done. And you're out here doing something totally outrageous, robbing a bank. Don't rob banks. I want you to do that. So if you were thinking about that, I'm not giving you permission. I'm trying to use an outrageous activity, which would be going and taking something that isn't given to you. That's outrageous. I can use that because I don't do it anymore, at least actively, but I steal. I've been doing it since I was born. I'm a thief. It's not a confessional. I'm just saying it's, when I was very young, if I'd see something I liked, I'd see if I could get away with taking it. I spent many years being very embarrassed about that. As I was getting older, just saying it. Now I see what it is. It's unreal. That doesn't mean that I had permission to go do that, but I had to go through the process of stop trying to change yourself and be somebody else. Be the consciousness that shows up. You can do that. Just like the story of Milarepa, a little bit different than what I'm doing. He was a murderer, as the legend goes. I saw that person come up and give you a hug, Jill. That's a very small person. I mean, I don't think they would want to hear that, but
He's almost as tall as me.
well, you're not very tall. Well, maybe you grew up since I saw you last.
Maybe.
Are there any further questions out there in the bleachers? Yes, Jishin.
Jishin bowing. What is the consciousness which is not an illusion? Bowing.
But it has no status. It's without status, so therefore it has no status. But consciousness itself is an aspect of illusion. It's like the space. It's like the sky, the things that rise in. There's still a spaciousness to it. So we need something to talk about it. So we refer to it as consciousness. An image we all can experience, anybody can experience, is the sky. There isn't anything there. We wouldn't even know about it if clouds didn't show up, or birds, or if there was no planets out there, the sun and moon. I'm just using that as relatively as I can. It's I was quoting Nisargadatta prior to consciousness. So it's basic Buddhist teaching is emptiness or shunyata. Yes.
Yokabang, one more question from Ath. Are choice making and non-separateness kind of mutually exclusive?
Yes, and they're mutually the same. Notice how you can't think about that. It's both this and that. If you use the duality to show that light is not separate from darkness. If you look in the darkness, you're going to see light. If you look in the light, you're going to see darkness. Don't believe me. Of course, nobody's going to believe me anyway, so I'm not too worried. Any final questions out there in Zoom before we close? Very good. So I think we can go another direction. Thank you for coming to this talk and for your questions. and for your participation in whatever way you're doing that.